Well, good day and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're on attachments. We're going to be comparing the standard Rippa cleanout bucket to the twin cylinder Rippa tilt cleanout bucket. Hopefully this answers some of the questions that I've received, as well as the gentlemen at Joy T5 have received, which is what's the difference, what do you use them for, and what attachment should I buy with my machine. So without further ado, let's get into it. We'll take a close look at this bucket, and then we'll take a close look at this bucket, and we'll answer those questions. Get on in here. Alright, so here is the standard cleanout bucket from Joy T5. This is a rip apart, so we can get a good look there. No bolt-on cutting edge, just, fairly basic construction. It is, we'll grab the tape here. About 31 inches wide, and just beside there, roughly a foot tall. And we'll kind of shot in the dark this. Let's say it's every bit of 9 inches deep. Does use the 25mm pins with the nylock bolts on the outside and the welded keepers here and here. You'll see grease fittings in there because these pins are greasable. You might be able to see grease hole right there, maybe. This pin has it as well. Because I have a hydraulic quick coupler, I don't need them. But that's a nice feature, nice upgrade to make lubricating your machine easier if that was the fixed bucket you were going to use. Now, I have put quite a few hours on this bucket, and if you look closely at the edge here, you'll see I favor a corner. I favor that side over that side. You'll see how not worn that side is and how more worn this side is. That's partly me, and that's also the result of not having a fixed, like a bolt-on cutting edge. This bucket might get retired from being a cleanout bucket and get turned into a tooth bucket in the future. It may not. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is a good bucket to have for your equipment. Like if you're starting out, this and the tooth bucket and either the rake or the single shank ripper, best attachments to have. This is good for moving a lot of dirt. You can grade with it, and you can. It's a good all-around bucket when you don't require teeth. Now let's flip over to the tilt bucket. Alright, so here it is, the tilt bucket. Twin cylinder tilt bucket. Now you'll find you can get these, but they're a single cylinder. The twin cylinder is probably overbuilt for the 1 ton to 1.5 ton category. I would honestly say you could put this against a 2 ton and possibly a 3 ton machine, and it'll last just fine with the twin cylinder and the big pin in the middle there. This is built quite well. So I'll measure this out for you, show you the difference, because it is a bit bigger, if memory serves correctly. Throw that across. Yeah, 32. Well, 31 3/4, 32. And it is a bit taller at 13.5-ish. And I do know it's a bit deeper, roughly. Come on now, tape measure, cooperate. Yeah, it's like 10.5, 11 is where she sits. So you get more volume out of that bucket. But there's There's some big differences in these, and one of them is the side profile. You see the half moon profile there? And then when we look at the other bucket, it's straight. I'm not exactly certain of where this profile comes from or what its exact purpose is. I have seen it on a lot of European tilt buckets or like their cleanout buckets. They do have this. And they also have a brace in the middle that matches. So I might fabricate one for this and then give it a bolt-on cutting edge. As you can see, it doesn't have one either. Being that it's that much bigger, and then, you know, with that center brace, if you start really pulling on it, it'll help keep that edge between the center brace and the bolt-on cutting edge. Oh my goodness, English. That'll help keep that a little more rigid. It'd be nice if from the factory they had the brace in the middle, but can't win them all, man. But yeah, so that's one of the big differences. The other big difference, obviously, this is a tilt bucket. You have added height between your pins and the top of your bucket. It's roughly a foot of difference, which means when you're at full extension and you're curled back, there is a big difference. And I'll put this in the air and I'll show you that. I do find this bucket, just the way that the ears are welded, like the way the ears are welded on there, when you go to curl it back, it doesn't curl back as far as I'd like it to. So maybe a redesign, like I'd like to see this pin back here, like, so this pin that's kind of forward, I want to see it back and a little back a little further to give that curl. And one of the other things too you're going to see is there's the hydraulic thumb and there's the tilt bucket. This is all but useless with this, and it's again because you've added this distance from the top of the bucket to the pins, right, for the tilting mechanism. This also weighs quite a bit more. This is a handful to move around. This I can pick up and carry. Now, you'll see that the red tie there will go around, and I'll show you why. With my machine having the hydraulic quick connect lines, when you have other lines, it gets to be a lot and kind of messy. I tie mine together with a little Velcro strap. I think they just came from Amazon or something like that. And that keeps them from being all over the place and waving around, but still allows them to move together. I would like to see 45-degree fittings on there, pointed kind of out and back this way. These are actually hoses off the auger because I blew a hose on the tilt bucket and needed hoses from the auger. Yeah, and then I left the 90-degree fitting ones from that were supposed to be for this on the auger, and they work better, I find. So yeah, 45-degree fittings. When these hoses go, I'll change them, but until then it'll be fine. You just keep them together. It makes life a lot easier. And with the Velcro strap, if it gets caught on anything, it's just going to unwind. It's not going to wreck your lines, and you're not rubbing anything like a metal loop or even a plastic zip tie. It's nice, safe, soft, but still effective for keeping those together and keeping them out of your way. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll toss this up in the air and we'll curl it back, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when it comes to meeting the thumb and, you know, the height difference and how that all translates to curl. Okay. Alright, there it is. Up in the air. So, as you can see, that doesn't really meet the thumb at all, and it's not good for, you know, trying to load into something If you're trying to ground load, if you are on top, it would be fine. But you can really see where that added height makes a difference. From the top of the bucket to the pins, you can definitely see where you lose breakout force and you gain weight. Yeah, it would be nice if this could get redesigned so that it, in this position, which is full curled in, that it was, curled in more. I really don't think Rippa is going to do that. It's part of the reason I don't use this bucket a whole lot. And it's definitely not a good bucket for the 1 tons. You need some weight in the machine to hold this back. Otherwise, you end up on your nose. Don't ask me how I know. But yeah, so we'll pop this off and we'll show you that one. And yeah, there we go. Alright, so with that standard cleanout bucket on in the air there, you can see it's similar to the cleanout, the tilt bucket. But again, you can see what I mean. It'd be nice if these buckets curled up further at this point, right? Because if you're ground loading or you're trying to reach into something with a full bucket, you're not getting your full bucket. It's spilling out. So it'd be nice to see that redesigned. But yeah, there's the comparison between the two. Alright, so with the visual comparison done, measurements done, and a show of where the buckets sit at full extension, simulating ground loading a dump trailer, let's answer the other questions now. What are they used for, and which one should you buy? Alright, well, they're both a smooth-edged bucket, which technically means they're both cleanout buckets. Both are used for grading. Both can be used for bulking. You can use them for sorting if you need to. Where the tilt bucket has an advantage is, again, that ability to tilt side to side. And that's good for cutting drainage or swales, or you can even use it for placing boulders. You can use the edge of the bucket to kind of push just one rock or something like that. It's good for cutting your slopes. If you're sitting somewhere and you want to cut a slope up here, you can tilt the bucket and cut your slope without having to get a rotator. That will all come in time as you learn the machine, learn how to use the bucket. Now, the bigger bucket, the tilt bucket being bigger, is great, but it's got its downsides. It's heavier. It does not curl in as far, and with it being as tall as it is, it's a bear. It's honestly kind of a bear to use. The dual cylinder, in my opinion, is super nice. A little overbuilt, but I'd rather have overbuilt than underbuilt. Which a lot of attachments and equipment in this category seem to be underbuilt. So it's nice to see a little overachieving there. On these machines, particularly like the 1.5 here and the R10 and R13, they don't have the biggest biggest boom, or the biggest stick to make up for the height difference in that bucket, in the tilt bucket there. So it's hard to use on this size of machine. Again, personally, I feel that tilt bucket is more suited for like a 2-ton, something with a bigger boom and a bigger stick and a bigger stance, something that's a bit taller to make up for that 1 foot difference, right? Now you can minimize some of that height difference on the tilt bucket by doing away with either your mechanical coupler or your hydraulic coupler, but in my opinion, you've paid to have those. Keep them on the machine and use them. you paid for them. I would, again, with both buckets, I'd like to see the pins rearranged so that they come back closer to the thumb. So as you are, you take your bite, you pick up, and you go to place, you're getting a full bucket, not losing, a quarter of it or half of it because the buckets can't be curled in properly. And so I'd like to see Rippa pull up their pants on that. But yeah, and the fixed bucket, it's just a good solid tool to learn on. It shows you a lot, especially when you can watch your wear patterns on the edge. For both of them, I would like to see a factory issued flippable cutting edge, bolt-on cutting edge. I think that would be a lot of added value for customers and owners. Now, there is one trick that I'm going to show you before we wrap this up. And I found it was my mechanical coupler that I had on the other machine that really gave me a problem with it. And that was the stick is tight, the joints are all tight, but the bucket's still slapping. So we're going to get you in here. I'm going to show you that little trick, and then we'll call her good. All right. So one of the tricks that I learned, and it's the mechanical couplers that do this, is you take your 1.25 inches and you come down and you tighten the bolts, tighten the nuts, right? And that pinches the ears together and it holds it onto the coupler. Now you're going to have to remember to come crack them loose a little bit when you try to take it off the machine. But that takes away the bucket slap, and it only works on ones that are bolted. And for these particular pins, it's an 1.25 inch wrench. Alright, so with that little operator attachment equipment hack shown to you, and use that to make your life easier, that's it. That's where we're going to call her good. So thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for watching. And yeah, you stay safe and take care out there. We'll see you on the next one.